We're still here at Blockland. Michael Hudak from Fortify Your Data, here with Andrew Tasker with a brand new company, right?
Brand new.
Prodigy,
Yeah. Prodigy.
LLC, limited liability.
That's right.
Tell me about Prodigy.
Prodigy is a multi-sided platform that we're just in the process of launching. Most of the company's built on blockchain. And so we work in the area of social impact. So, environmental, social, and governance is basically the areas that we're focused on. And how we came to this is we did an awful lot of work about entrepreneurs and how hard it is to get a business funded. And so the more we dug into that, the more we were thinking about it. And I've been an entrepreneur myself for 45 years now. And so, just what's the process of getting a business off the ground, getting it funded, or if you're a more established business, even then, depending upon the industry, banks don't like to do business with small businesses. And so, we needed to be able to create a funding mechanism there that was easy to access, was inexpensive, was fair, okay, and then also made sense. At the same time, with the digital revolution that's taking place, we also understand that companies are, more and more to become digital. They're moving their business onto different platforms. And so what we've done with Prodigy is we've basically created the platform to make it easy for entrepreneurs and social impact investors to come together, solve problems in social impact, and then also orchestrate networks of other people who can use the products, benefit from the products, and also come back and make contributions into the value chain. And so what we're effectively doing is building markets, marketplaces, and ecosystems. And so those are the two main parts of Prodigy. And then within the last 6 months, we've made the decision to add a fully 100% online digital accelerator into that mix, and because there's a lot of people that have good ideas that would fit into these different ecosystems, and so that's also advantageous for the investors, and then it also makes sense for the different entrepreneurs to basically create people that their companies that they can add into their supply chain.
Well, with all the startups that are here today, I imagine this is probably the perfect event for you to kind of get your message out, right?
It's interesting. I've been here more as an observer,
okay.
Than necessarily here to pitch anything. But I've met some incredible people that I wouldn't have, had an opportunity to meet and interact with otherwise. And so we made a lot of really good contacts, and people that fit into our ecosystem.
Right.
And so it's from that point of view, it's been really good. But I've worked real hard to keep it low key.
Understood. Well, I can definitely admire that. So has Prodigy launched?
We're formally launching in the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a month time frame, or just we're gonna keep it quarterly?
I would keep it quarterly,
okay.
But the expectation is by the end of January we'll be up.
Good. And who should immediately start reaching out, or who do you want to reach out to you to kind of be a part of this early on?
Well, any company that's basically purpose driven.
Yeah.
So meaning that it's companies that are worried about the quality of the environment for their employees, are interested in their impact on the environment, are looking at making sure that they're governing themselves in a responsible, ethical manner, and so any company that's in that mode potentially can utilize our services. If you're also in that arena and you're looking for funding, then we have, through the platform that we're in the process of deploying, I think there's lots of opportunities there. And then we're also doing an outreach now to investors. We've started where we're reaching out to individuals, yes, but because we're creating a series of funds, but also we're looking at family offices, registered investment advisors, wealth advisors, and social impact funds per se. So, which is about, the industry we work in, it's probably a $500 to $600 billion industry at this point. If you added everything that everyone says, where, of course we're interested in sustainability or whatever,
right,
that number jumps to about 2.5 to 3 trillion. But I think in terms of what I would consider a solid core, there's 500 or 600 million in private capital that's available for investment at any given point in time.
That makes a lot of sense. And so you guys are headquartered in Ohio?
In Cleveland.
In Cleveland. All right, so same. What a small world.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to any of the Cleveland consortiums that kind of do a lot with capital gain or investment, or are you trying to stay your own thing?
I think that we're the answer is yes. We have. The feedback we've gotten is that we've got a lot of really positive, good reinforcement about the business model, and then we've got a stellar board, and the partners we've selected for the different components of our technology. We really have a superb, very powerful group of people, but in the environment here in Cleveland, because we don't have the next technology widget, we're literally talking about technology infrastructure that helps other people develop their technology or their business more efficiently. I'm not sure how readily acceptable that'll be in the investor community, here in Cleveland.
Well, we're considered Midwest by most people's standards, and the Midwest investor vibe is very unique. It's not quite like what you might see in the West Coast or even the East Coast, right? And so, do you find that might be a hurdle you have to get past?
Yes, absolutely.
Dealing with them? What is your largest challenge? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because we're dealing with some very sophisticated, advanced network technology. So we've got, as an example, our one of our AI partners is a company called Soothsayer Analytics. Mm-hmm. They're based in Livonia, Michigan. They have offices in Columbus, and then they've got half of their team is here, the other half is in India, and they're amazing people. Okay, but we've had a couple of sessions where I've asked them to come in and meet with people, and they're really good at breaking things down so that everybody can understand, what AI is and machine learning, and
Sure.
But there's after a little while, it's like. It sounds so futuristic to most of the people here, when the reality is that's happening right now, as we speak every day, as you well know. And so, the whole idea behind it is that, the knowledge curve has to come up. So our biggest challenge, to come back to reinforce something that you just said, is to break this all down in a way that, we get our points across with without having to talk about network theory and
right. Or like what is the blockchain?
Yeah,
a lot of these
crypto economics. We had the crypto economic layer to blockchain.
Right.
Okay, it's like, all right, that's great. Nobody wants to hear that.
Absolutely. And so when you say you're built on the blockchain, are you built on the Ethereum network or?
Actually, we could either go with Hyperledger or Ethereum.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're capable of doing both. Is
Yes.
there one way that you would lean towards?
Probably Ethereum at this point.
That's fair.
But we have a couple of projects that we're looking at that Hyperledger might be a better fit.
Okay. What's an example of a use case for Hyperledger?
Well, one of the things that is happening in Ohio is there's a new organization called the Ohio Information Technology Association. Okay, and I just happen to be on the advisory board. Okay, and so when you look at a lot of the applications, of the state might be considering, is when you talk about Ethereum, they immediately think crypto, okay, and coin and all of that, whereas Hyperledger is somewhat perceived as being less threatening. Okay,
I can see that
in that environment. All right,
so it's more of a political.
I think that's
tool.
right. It's perception.
Yeah,
it's perception. But anybody who understands blockchain, you can't possibly not talk about coin,
right.
And blockchain. You can't separate those two things out.
Right. Well, what's your opinion on private blockchains?
I think private blockchain, makes sense in the right application.
Okay.
And so that works. But I also think that there's a lot of applications, obviously, for the public chain.
Okay. Very diplomatic answer. I agree.
Depends on the application, what you're trying to accomplish.
I struggle with some of the applications used for private blockchains. I really do. I feel like in a lot of cases, they could just be databases. That's really what you're looking for.
Yes.
But yeah, so how did you get into that space, or when did you get the idea to put this on a blockchain?
Well, the journey here got to bringing us up to getting ready for the launch for Prodigy started about 3 years ago, actually. And a friend of mine bought a company called Tartan Yachts.
Okay.
Okay, and they're in Fairport Harbor, and they're an advanced manufacturing company that makes really high-end, luxury yachts. Their claim to fame is the quality, the design, but they basically will give you a custom sailboat or a custom powerboat at about 2/3 of the cost of what a normal custom build would be. And so I spent 2 or 3 years out there, and it was really frustrating from a number of different points of view because, that's a high-end luxury goods market, which is clearly out of favor with most of the capital markets, banks, and everybody. And so how do you take that kind of company, modernize it, bring out new products to kind of make them ready to be in the digital age? And so how do you move that company from here to where they need to be today to be competitive in this market? And so I came away from that experience there being a little bit frustrated. And so, that just sort of, as I started digging into it, the layers just kind of peeled away. And so I think the learning process or the research process that I've been through kind of led us here, as opposed to, like having the big idea, or the big bang at the beginning, and so it wasn't
much more
like
gradual,
step by step to just see how each of the pieces come together.
That's fascinating. I appreciate you sharing your story with us.
I appreciate the opportunity to share it. This is great.
Absolutely. And so if people want to learn more about it, where do they go?
Well, we don't have our website up yet.
Okay.
But it's goprodigy.com.
Okay. And Prodigy has 2 I's at the end. A
PR
true tech company.
We used a variation of the Latin spelling, so it's Prodigii.
Yes.
.com, and but the website will probably be up by the end of the year.
That's fair. I took 4 years of Latin, and the only thing I remember is eamne ad latrinum. You know what that is? I need to use the restroom.
If you have to remember one thing, that would be the thing you'd want to remember.
If we go in a time machine and I'm about to go back there, I guarantee you I'll find where everyone's peeing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.